Hello Seawolves and welcome back to the show. A little bit short show today because I have an extremely busy day, but actually some very interesting things happening. Before we jump into that though, we have a extremely beautiful, I have to say, very beautiful toast today. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Cheers, Wolves. Wow, did I say too much? Also, quick update from Boris.
Hello everyone, welcome to 2025, to my first longer update, spoken update. It is January the 5th, the 57th day at sea. I just did an update, weather routing as far as the weather would look out, the weather model, and that has me in 15 days, approximately 15, 16 days at the Azores, and from there, as you can imagine, it's still a few days to get home. My best guess would be 20, 21 days from here to the finish, and it could be obviously longer, as always. So an ETA 24th would be my guess. That would be 76 days. I would like to know your guess, and we call that the Navigator Trophy, where of course we will think of a great prize. I let our team arrange this, so the Navigator Trophy here was, I opened that. My guess of ETA is the 24th January 2025 in Les Sables-d'Olonne on the finish line at 1800 UTC. And now it's your turn. Apart from that, you might wonder what's going on with my eye. Last night the boat was jumping, flying. We have rough sea states since a long time with this big low pressure here. And even still now the sea is not very smooth. And I was stacking bags like we always do when the wind changes to adjust the longitudinal center of gravity of the boat. I was moving bags forward, and while lifting one bag, the boat did a jump and I moved the bag right into my eye. Luckily nothing happened, it's just a scratch. And another secret I want to tell you is that this morning I went on deck naked. Why? Because we are here in the zone with the ideal temperature. It is neither too hot, neither too warm. The sea has just the temperature of actually waking me up when I came out of the bunk and needed to go forward to put the J0. Instead of putting these things on, which are a bit damp now, I was just going as I am. And that was a really nice wake up. So the spirits are high, the mood is good. Me and the boat are okay. I didn't sleep much in the last couple of days. It's with these ever-changing conditions, gusts and a swell and crossed sea, it's really hard to make the boat move nicely and stick to the Sam Gottschalk, who was doing a great job and really fast. And so once I finished this maneuver this morning, I looked up and I changed the backstay from the jib that I use to the code 0, which is at the top of the mast, and then the backstay has to also pull on the top of the mast. And this is adjusted with a rope that pulls sideways. And that rope I could then see when it was east that it's broken. I mean, the cover is broken. That means tomorrow or the day after, when the weather is the sea state will permit, I will go up and try to put this cover with tape and some stitching to secure it a bit. I'm afraid of heights, so I have a bit of time to mentally prepare for that. If anyone listening here, another IMOCA skipper or sailor or technician, you have ever had that problem, you have any good advice for me, please pass it on. I'm curious what's the best way to deal with this. Of course, my team gave me already some good advice, and if nothing comes from you extra, then I will just follow my team's advice. What else? That's it for today, I would say. We are now heading into lighter winds. There will be the parking lot of Rio, as Sam Goodchild called it in a message to me this morning. He said, "I'm waiting. I'm gonna wait for you in the parking lot in Rio, at Rio or near Rio." That is a weather zone that is systematically there. The semi-permanent front between the southern hemisphere westerly low-pressure area and the southeast trade wind area, and between there's this confrontation. And that's a hard-to-predict zone, light wind, big squalls, thunderstorms, etc. Difficult to get through. We saw that with the first three boats that have struggled big time there. I mean, they have got stuck for quite a long time. And this will be probably quite determining for the outcome of the whole race as well, because we have a small group going now more to the east. Nico Lunven and Paul Meyer, and Charal, me and myself and Sam, Justine going here. So we see how we get through and how this we will make. We will see the outcome at the equator, basically. And so challenges ahead. There's also where we're heading, not only light winds, there's also a zone of big oil drilling area with lots of service vessels. Difficult to imagine to sail through there. Hopefully the weather doesn't take us right into this zone. So challenges ahead. Stay focused. It's full on as always. I wish you a great week. If you look at this Monday, a good morning, and all the best from the boat, and talk tomorrow.
Yeah, so he's expecting to arrive in Les Sables around the 24th. Well, I guess we'll see. Let's just jump right into the predictions here, because I think actually one of the most interesting things that happens today, and I have to say I'm pretty happy also for it, that one of my personal favorite also, Jeremy Beyou, actually did what I kind of sort of predicted might happen today. He actually got himself in fourth position now, leading sort of this whole restart as they slowly kind of make their way back into the wind. And it's interesting running the routages several times today. It looks like, and again, I'm taking this with a pinch of salt, but there might be an option for him to actually hold on to it and go for the next 2 days and kind of keep like a tiny lead, but hold on to that, I think for him, much coveted fourth position, right? I think that as we get closer, the chances for some kind of miraculous upset, especially now with what I talked about yesterday, the situation with the Azores high and the weather for the two leaders, still looking pretty good as they move up there, sort of like a nice corridor to move through to France with winds in their back. Like it really looks like that is going to work. And so if that actually materialized, then yeah, there's really no chance for the guys down here and girls to really still make any connection with that front group. So that battle is then sort of done. We have our top three, let's say, in that case. But here it is very much still open, right? And that means we're talking about position 4 to 10 that are all still very close. And I would say they're close enough to each other that all of these 6 sailors can still get there. And the difference between 4th or 10th, All of them are great positions, but it's still you know, quite something whether you're ending in 4th or 5th or 9th or 10th. So they have everything to fight for. You know, this race is off to the horses, as they say. And so it's very cool, and I think, yeah, really also an important, you know, for Jeremy, especially after, of course, what happened in the last race, making such a great comeback, but you know, having had some rudder damage in the beginning of the race, having to go back to the Saab, restarting several days after the official race, and then just basically running a perfect race, but you know, impossible to win from such a setback. And then running a more or less perfect race this time, but just getting behind in that one weather system originally, and you know, then just kind of losing connection, and you know, everything we talked about, like once you lose connection in a system in the Southern Ocean especially, that kind of sometimes can mean that it's over. And you know, we're seeing this now, as I was saying completely in the beginning of the race. I think I mentioned it once, that like, yeah, this could be, you know, the defining moment later, and it looks like the race is still not over, but it looks like that was the case. But for this whole group, it's still all up for grabs. And I think personally that, of course, they all deserve it. They all worked hard. But for me personally, especially, you know, I like his campaign. I like the way, you know, he sails. So, yeah, I kind of also personally, you know, rooting a bit for him there. And I think it's if he manages to do it in the end, I think personally it would be well deserved also for him. You guys all know that I'm a barbecue fan. So, you know, what's not to like about a barbecue brand like Shirel, right? So yeah, that's kind of cool. Shirel now in 4th. Of course, he is closely followed by vulnerable there, Sam Goodchild, and also Boris, who also managed to move up from 8th to 7th. So good news for the Boris fans as well there. And you know, Thomas Ruyant also still very close in 5th. And even though, of course, Paul Malott and Nicholas Lundven seem to be a bit more behind here, you know, with the weather kind of stretching out and them having maybe a bit more wind, right? They chose their course difference because they hoped that this could be a little bit faster. And yeah, you know, it's all still up for grabs there. No one here is far enough ahead so that it really means, you know, the win or the loss or anything in between. So anything can happen there, and I think that, yeah, for the final phases of this race, this is a great, cool, we have kind of a big duel in front, with Sebastian kind of in a strange but super cool 3rd place, which, you know, like if he manages to finish in 3rd, wow, I mean, with one foil, holding on basically from the start of the Southern Ocean, without one foil all the way, I mean, he sailed like amazingly. But this is, you know, the real big battle that we have still going on, a testament to the designs of them all being just so close. I mean, we sailed all around the world, nearing 40,000 kilometers already, because the total race is a little bit over. I think it comes down to 42 something in the end. And they're still basically racing side by side. So how cool is that to see? Now, a little bit behind there, we have Benjamin Dutroux and Clarice Kramer, and we see that Samantha Davis crawled a little bit closer again, and because she has the wind from behind, she's a little bit faster now than the other two, so a good opportunity for her at about a 2 knots delta to catch up with them a little bit. And that means that we might get sort of a 3-way upstart here as well. So we have a big group kind of dueling each other, a small group dueling each other here, and of course behind there we have another trio with Jean Le Cam, with Damien Seguin, and Roman Athanasio, which could also turn into you know, the non-foiler, I would say, against 2 foilers, which is also kind of a cool proving ground for Jean if he manages to win this particular thing. That would be very cool. Also, he has more or less caught up because of the bad weather. So if there's a restart here, you know, it's going to be full on between the 3 of them, and I'm personally going to be very curious to see how that plays out. Also, now that Jean is really like on his top form, obviously. Alan behind there, all on his own, like wow, like so much space in front of him and so much space behind him. He's really, you know, turned into a little bit of a lone racer, lone wolf there in the middle, like going past the Falklands Islands there. But as you can see, a bit in low winds, hoping to get into the stronger stuff. So we'll see actually what the routages say about his chances of kind of reaching that corner with Jean. Yeah, well, it says that he's almost could get there. As you can see, like they're running into like a lot of, this is basically why I said I think that Jean especially is going to take a route that's very close to the coast, because even though the wind would be against you, this would have been, I think, prevented. And that was my sort of, I don't know, instinct to say like, oh, I don't know, just doesn't look good here all the time already for weeks. But yeah, well, I guess we'll see how they get through there. Doesn't look like a straight catch up, but there's a good chance with the weather now that Alan could sort of join this foursome here, and that they'll go into a similar, you know, very equal, very close battle for the last 1,000 miles of the race. So cool to see. At the Cape, Isabel Jarske and Giancarlo Pedotte made it through the strong weather, both not the worst for wear, so that's very nice. We see that Benjamin Ferré now has given up some of the distance that he'd gained on the group, and in this particular group, actually a lot of different things happening. So Conrad blasting ahead, gained 2 spots, went from 27 to 25, so that's cool to see. Right next to Kajiro Shirisi here, who also was in the back, also moved up 2 places. We have in the back now Violette and Arnaud Bois-Harris. And Violette made today a pretty long explanation video in French, so I can't really include it here. But basically saying that the prediction is showing, I can show you, that they too are heading for a pretty strong passage of the Cape here, some very strong weather. And she was mentioning that since it's her first time passing the Cape in very strong weather, that she is like deliberately had to make kind of a bit a hard choice to kind of slow down a little bit, because she wants to kind of take it easy. So she's going to sort of stick to the back, I guess, here of the group, sort of to the back of that weather, trying to not pass like right in the red stuff as the rest of the group is sort of doing, taking a little bit less risk, which I think in her situation is totally admirable, you know, like it's one of the most admirable things, especially in top sports, and especially mitigating dangers and weather like this, to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to take it a little bit on the, well, not easy, but I'm going to just mitigate this particular risk, especially with something like Cape Horn. If it's your first time, totally understandable. So interesting choice for her there. But that's also, I think, the reason so why you see her today or over the last 24 hours. Some of you have maybe looking at the tracker and were like, hey, why is she falling behind? So this is, as far as I understand it, like a conscious choice with the strong weather coming up to make sure that she's not passing the Cape, because that was her prediction, was showing that she would kind of pass it in the absolute worst of that particular conditions. And since she can't run ahead of it, she's just not fast enough, she made a choice to hold back a little bit, tough choice, but had to do it in order to just spare the boat, spare herself, you know, and get through there safely. After all, you know, the finishing is the very most important thing in this race. So good on her, very responsible decision, and very you know, admirable to see under such pressure to you know, to just get with everybody to make a choice like that. Very nice. Then behind there, Toot Good, Olly. Yeah, I'm almost ashamed to say, still in the light weather, though I think there should be some light on the end of that tunnel. I think it's finally gonna, yeah, so it's gonna move up in the next like 6-7 hours, and then he's finally going to be, after 3 full days of almost no wind, and you can see that the gap has you know, swelled immensely. Like it's just yeah, it's just enormous, but yeah, it is what it is. Behind there, Anton Kornek and Jun Zhu, both in a little bit wind, so not very strong, but they're doing good speeds, you know, 12 knots and something, just sailing their big sails, no doubt. So less of a problem there. Then also in a complete wind hole, like completely stalled, we have Fabrice Amadeo and Manuel Cosin. So they are just, yeah, as you can see, they're right in the middle of it, just stuck. And behind there, of course, we have Dennis van Wijnberg, also sort of stuck in the top of that particular system. And like we saw yesterday, it is kind of moving, coming sort of in and out. So they should, by the end of the day, have a little bit more wind again and then sort of be good to go south. Although you see that here again, in front of that big low coming in from behind, we have a little bit of a high pressure sort of adding in front, which could be another problem for Dennis from Weinberg there. Then we see the storm kind of going down. So after that, he might get some more stronger stuff. Although it seems that this is more a little bit going west instead of the regular east. Unusual weather. It's what happens sometimes. Okay, so that's it for the update. Of course, hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like, subscribe, and see you again in 24 hours. Ciao, wolves.